Now students, now let us understand, now let us come to the topic of design of weir. So we have understood what is a weir, what is the difference between a barrage, right? Where the weirs are actually used in canal regulatory headworks, right? Okay. Now we have also discussed about the types of weirs also, right? Now it's time to understand about the design, how the weirs are designed, right? If it's a vertical type of weir, so generally it is designed with the Bligh strip theory, and if it is a, you can say, the concrete weir, it is designed with the Khosla theory. Okay, so first of all, we'll understand the Bligh strip theory. Now, let us understand what are the different types of failure in a hydraulic structure, right? So there are many modes of failure. There can be an earthquake also, there can be wave action also, that we are studying gravity dams, the types of forces acting on gravity dam, right? But generally, a failure, a hydraulic structure fails by either by a piping failure, piping action, or by a uplift pressure, right? Now, what is a piping action? Let us say that this is your hydraulic structure. It can be an earth dam or anything, right? Or can be a weir. The hydraulic structure, this is the water level. Okay. So now what will happen is that this water level will percolate in the soil. Inside the soil, this water level will percolate, right? And this water level, after percolation, will travel, and it will go to the downstream. Because there is a huge pressure, there is no pressure. So water always travels from the low pressure to the high pressure to the low pressure, right? So we have high pressure, and if the soil is permeable, so it will percolate in the soil and slowly will travel. But if this exit gradient, it has a very high value, right? This is only exit gradient, it has a very high value. What will happen? You can say this a pipe type of failure will be there. The pipe type of piping will be there. Piping action will be there, and there will be boiling condition at the exit, right? Boiling means the soil, it will come out, right? You must have seen about you must have studied about this in geotech also, in liquefaction, right? So it will come out, and more water will come, the soil will come out, more water will come, and ultimately a pipe type of structure will be developed inside the soil. So this type of failure is known as the piping failure. Okay, how to avoid piping failure? So actually we can avoid piping failure by two methods. Either we can provide a impervious, you can say impervious layer. So there can be an impervious layer. This impervious bed is also known as apron. This impervious bed is also known as apron. First thing is that. Second thing is that on this apron we can also provide sheet piles. We can also provide sheet piles, because the distance of the water will increase then. If the distance of the water will increase, then the exit gradient will be very small, because there will be a lot of head losses. Always remember, as much the water travels, as much as the water travels, the more are the losses, right? So losses are actually directly proportional to the length which it travels, right? The more the water travels, the more will the losses. There can be frictional losses, there can be any losses, right? Okay, so it can be avoided by either impervious strata, or by either providing sheet piles, or both. Clear? Now let's come to the uplift pressure. Now let me rub this. Now let me make you understand about the uplift pressure. So for example, this is your hydraulic structure. It can be a dam, it can be a weir. Okay. Now what is happening is that water will percolate inside the soil. Water will percolate inside the soil. That water will exert an upward pressure. It will exert an upward pressure, and it will try to uplift this bed. It will try to uplift this bed, right? Okay, if this water pressure is very high, then the hydraulic structure, it will be washed away actually, right? It will be very high pressure, it will be washed away, right? So to avoid uplift pressure, this is my common sense. If the weight of this hydraulic structure is very high, it may not come out. It may not come out, right? So basically we have two types of failures. First is the piping failure, another one is the uplift pressure. This can be, you can say, avoided by increasing the thickness or increasing the weight of the structure. Increasing thickness or weight of the structure. Weight of structure. Because if thickness is increased, ultimately weight of the structure will be increased, right? So these are the two modes of failure in a hydraulic structure. Now let us understand the Bligh's theory. So Bligh said that you can see the water which will percolate in the soil. Okay, again I'm telling you. So what he said that the water percolating soil will travel along the baseline of a hydraulic structure. Now let's not go in the theory part, because I believe that we must understand the concept, right? Let us say that this is a weir. This is a vertical drop weir I am drawing, because generally Bligh's theory used for the vertical drop weir, right? Let us say this is a vertical drop weir. Okay, this is the you can say impervious strata, which is known as the apron. There is the impervious strata. There is the water level. This is the upstream side. This is the downstream side. Okay, the height of this water is, let us say, h above this, and the thickness of this strata is t. Impervious strata is t. This is impervious. Clear? Okay. So Bligh said that if water will be percolating in, because here it will not be percolating, it is impervious. So obviously water will be percolating somewhere here. So water, whichever is percolating, so it will travel the baseline of the structure. It will travel the baseline of the structure. And dear students, I have told you that if you want to decrease the exit gradient, you must increase the length. How to increase the length? There is a method for the sheet piles. So what we do is that we provide sheet piles also, right? Let us say that we have provided a sheet pile here. We have provided a sheet pile here. We have provided a sheet pile here. And we have also provided a sheet pile here. Let us say we have provided 3 sheet piles. It can be 2, it can be 3, whatever, right? Okay. Let us say that this length is L1. This length is L2. Clear? This whole length is, let us say, small b. Okay, L1, L2, small b. Let us say this depth of this sheet pile is D1. Let us say depth of this sheet pile is D2. Let us say depth of this sheet pile is D3. So let us first of all understand about the piping failure. To avoid piping failure, okay, now to avoid piping failure, so first of all, we are understanding about the piping failure. Generally, we have 2 types of failure: piping failure and the uplift failure, right? Okay. So Bligh said that the water percolating, it will travel along the baseline. Now the baseline has increased because we have already applied sheet piles also. If there were no sheet piles, the water would have traveled here, right? But now the water will be traveling like this. It will be traveling like this. The water will travel like this. The red marker is the movement of water. Is showing you the movement of water. The water is going like this. So we have sheet pile here. So water is going like this. I hope you are getting it. So water is going like this, and it will go up, right? So here is the bed, right? And it will go slowly. It will go up, right? So from here it will come out, right? It will come out. The water will come out. Clear? So Bligh said that the water will travel the baseline of the structure. Now, what will be the head losses? What will be the head losses? So here, this was the water level. So here, this was the water level. Okay, this was the water level. Initially, it will percolate, and slowly the water will exit, or it will come out from here, right? The water will slowly come out from here, right? Okay. So here, this is the water level. So what are the losses? Here it is h, and here it is 0. Here it is 0. Here it is h. So you can say that the total head loss, it actually equal to h minus 0. That is h initial minus final, total head loss. And what is the, you can say, length traveled by water? So length traveled by percolating water. Now let us calculate the length travel, right? So it has traveled this distance is d1. It has traveled this distance. This is also d1. If this is d1, that will also be d1. It has traveled L1. So let me write it here. So first it has traveled d1 plus, then again it traveled d1 plus d1. Then it traveled L1 plus L1. Then it traveled d2 plus d2. Then again it came up to d2, then d2, plus it traveled this L2, so L2, and plus it traveled D3, and again it traveled D3, and then it went out, right? Again it traveled D3. So this is the total length traveled by water, right? So this is D1, 2D1, 2D2, 2D3. So can I write it like this? L1 plus L2 plus 2 times of D1 plus D2 plus D3. Is it correct? Okay. Now, what is this L1 plus L2? If I neglect the thickness of the sheet pile, because it's a sheet very small thickness, right? So L1 plus L2 will be equal to B, or can I write it like this? B plus 2 times of D1 plus D2 plus D3. This is the total length traveled by water inside the soil, right? So I will say that the hydraulic gradient. So what is hydraulic gradient? In your geotech you must have studied. Hydraulic gradient is given by I. It is the head loss per unit creep length, right? Length here in the Bligh's creep theory it will be creep. Now why it is known as creep? Because the movement of water is known as creep actually. The movement of water is because it is very slow movement, right? That is why it is known as creep, right? So hydraulic gradient will be equal to total head, that is total head loss at H, right? Divided by the total length L. And how much is L? L is this much. So this is the hydraulic gradient. Clear? Or you can say head loss per unit creep length is the hydraulic creep, right? Now if somebody asks you that what is the head loss at this point, let us say that this is point A, this is point, let us say B, this is point C. If somebody asks you, because these types of questions are coming in examinations, let me rub this. I hope that you have got it. Right? Let me rub this now. Now questions which are coming in examination are like this. That what are the head losses at point A or point B or point C? So it is very simple. So if the rate of head loss, so what is H by L? Rate of head loss, right? If the rate of head loss is this, what will be the head loss at this point? So head loss at A. Head loss at A will be equal to D1 plus D1, that is 2D1 into I. I is how much? H by L. H by L. What will be the head loss at B? Head loss at B will be equal to D2 plus D2, 2D2 into H by L. Into H by L. Similarly at C, it will be equal to D3 plus D3, that is 2D3 into H by L. So this will be the head losses. Clear? Okay. So I hope that you have got it. Okay. Now let me come to the next point about this. So we have you can say we have avoided the piping failure, right? Now to avoid piping failure, Bligh said that. So Bligh said that the length, this creep length, whatever the length it is, the creep length, it is actually directly proportional to the head H, right? The head loss H actually, right? As the length is increasing, the head loss will be more directly proportional. So if you remove the sign of proportionality, you will get a Bligh's coefficient, right? So L will be equal to C into H, Bligh's coefficient, right? Or I can say that 1 by C, should be equal to H by L. 1 by C should be equal to H by L. And Bligh said that to avoid piping, let me write it here. Bligh said that to avoid piping, this H by L, it should always be less than 1 by C. Less than or equal to means that's a limiting case, but it should always be less than 1 by C, right? Where C is the creep coefficient. Okay, sorry, Bligh's coefficient, right? Okay, so this is the case that H by L should be less than 1 by C. Generally, it is given to you in question. For example, it is the value of C. It is actually 15 for the North Indian rivers, and it changes actually. Okay, but generally it will be given to you in examination. Don't have to worry about it, right? So to avoid piping, this is the case. Now we have avoided piping. The next type of failure was the uplift pressure, right? Now let me rub this. Now let us understand about the uplift pressure. Now let me rub the structure also. Again, I will be drawing the structure because I have written a lot of things, right? So let me again rub this now. Yes. Now let me draw the weir again. So this is again the same weir, that is the vertical drop weir. Okay, the vertical drop weir. This is the apron. apron. Clear? This is the upstream side, this is the downstream side, this is the impervious strata. The thickness of the impervious strata is small t, right? Small t. So this is your RH, right? This is RH, that is the head. The head at here it will be 0. The head at here will be 0, right? Okay. Now the head at here is 0. Now you must have heard about hydraulic gradient line. Okay. What is the hydraulic gradient line? P by gamma W plus Z. That is the piezometric head gives us the hydraulic gradient line. The FM you must have studied, right? So for this, now you know that the head is actually decreasing because due to their head loss is H by L. So the head is continuously decreasing throughout the length of the sphere, right? So if I draw the hydraulic gradient line, the hydraulic gradient line would be like this. Here it is like this. So here the losses has started happening, right? So slowly, so it will come to 0, this position, right? Now this is actually the critical section. This is actually the critical section for a weir, right? For a weir. Why a critical section? Because for example, let us say that if there is a beam, let us say we have a T beam, right? So for a T beam, what is the critical section? So if the load is there, right? So it can fail either from here or at a distance of D from here. If you remember the RCC part, right? Okay. So from here we have the UDL acting from the below. Okay. So it can either from here fail from here, or it can either fail from here. So let me take this as the critical section. Let us say that this is the critical section. Okay. So I have to calculate now. You know that the uplift pressure can be avoided if this thickness is very high. If the weight of the structure is very high, can be avoided. So I will say that now weight of strata, weight of foundation or strata, weight of apron, let us say, weight of apron. Now what will the weight of apron, right? Now I know that if I know the specific gravity of the particles as G, right? I know that G is equals to gamma of apron, right, divided by gamma of water. Clear? Can I write it like this, that gamma of apron will be equal to G into gamma of water? Simple. Now what will be gamma? We know that gamma is actually equal to weight per unit volume. So if I want to calculate the weight of apron, so weight of apron will be equal to gamma A into volume of the apron. Right? Now for a unit square area, I'm just taking a unit square area, but generally we are calculating the design of a weir by a unit square area. If I'm taking a unit square area, then gamma A, what is the volume? Volume will be equal to 1 unit square, and what will be the thickness? Thickness is T. So can I write the weight of the structure as gamma A into 1 into T? So let me put it here. So weight of the structure or weight of the apron will be equal to gamma A is how much? Gamma A is G into gamma W into thickness of the flow, right? So this is the weight of the apron. Now let me rub this because we have got what we wanted, right? So now let me rub this. So weight of the apron is G into gamma W into T, right? So weight of the apron is G into gamma W into T. Weight G into gamma W into T. So this is the stabilizing weight which is actually stabilizing the weir. Now what will be the unstabilizing force which will be acting below the weir, which will be acting from below the weir? Clear? Now how much would that force will be equal to? Let us say that the hydraulic gradient line is at a distance of h dash from this, distance of h dash from the base of the weir, right? And this distance is actually small h. Let us say it is small h, right? I can say that small h, it is actually equal to h dash minus t. H dash minus t, right? Okay. Now the uplift pressure at this point, the critical point, will be equal to h dash into gamma w. H dash into gamma w. Now the question is, sir, why h dash into gamma w? Because in your fluid mechanics you must have heard about the bind force. What is bind force? So buoyant force is the amount of force which is actually equal to the volume of the water displaced by the body. Volume of the water displaced by the body, right? The same thing we are doing here also, right? So the uplift pressure, uplift force will be equal to H dash into gamma W, right? Because hydraulic gradient line is here at a distance of H dash from the base of the weir, right? Now, to avoid failure, this G into gamma W into T should be greater than H dash into gamma W, right? This is the unstabilizing force. Stabilizing force. Now for stability, this G into gamma W into T, that is the weight of the structure, should be greater than and equal to means the critical, right? It should be greater than or equal to H dash into gamma W. So gamma W got cancelled out, right? So this is the formula that H dash should be less than or equal to G into gamma W. In some books, sometimes this H dash is not given, this small h is given. That is the distance of the hydraulic gradient line from the top of this apron, So I can say that H dash minus T. Let us subtract T from both the sides. G into gamma W minus T. Gamma W got cancelled out. This is T. Clear? Got cancelled out. Now H dash minus T is how much? Small h. Clear? So small h should be less than or equal to T into G minus 1. Right? Well, I can say that the thickness of the floor, let me use another marker. The thickness of the floor should be greater than or equal to H upon G minus 1. H upon G minus 1. H upon G minus 1. Okay? But for calculation purposes, we are taking it at T is equals to H upon G minus 1 calculation purpose. But it should be, this is the minimum thickness of the base of the weir, right? Okay, so these questions are also asked in examinations, right? So this was all about the Bligh's theory. So we understood about the piping failure, we understood about the upward failure also, uplift pressure also, right? So I hope that you have got the concept. You can also remember the formula, no doubt in that, because in irrigation engineering, that formulas are that questions are coming from this topic, Bligh's theory. He will not be asking you about the derivation and something like that, right? But still, I made the derivation to make you understand how this uplift pressure and how the exit gradient is actually happening, right? And how much is the head losses. Clear? Now let's move forward and solve a numerical on the Bligh's creep theory. Thank you.